Unmuted.
We are now live. This special meeting of the City of Socorro Planning and Zoning Commission meeting is set to begin. First and foremost, the City of Socorro would like to thank everyone and ask for your patience during this difficult time we have been presented with. Everyone, please remember to silence any electronics to avoid sound interruption. No disruptive behavior or outbursts will be tolerated, and violators are subject to call disconnection and possible prosecution. In accordance with the section 418.016 of the Texas Government Code and by order of the Office of the Governor issued March 16, 2020, the Planning and Zoning Commission of the City of Socorro will broadcast the meeting scheduled today, Thursday, September 10, 2020 at 5:30 p.m. from court chambers located at 860 Rio Vista Road, Socorro, Texas, via telephone conference call and live stream in order to advance the public health goal and practice social distancing to slow the spread of coronavirus COVID-19. The public that signed up and any presenters will be called upon by the presiding officer during the meeting to speak during the public comment or their agenda item during the meeting following Government Code 551.042. La reunión especial de la Comisión de Planificación y Zonificación de la Ciudad de Socorro está por comenzar. Primeramente, queremos darles las gracias y pedimos su paciencia durante estos momentos críticos que enfrentamos. Favor de poner en silencio todo equipo electrónico para evitar interrupción de sonido. No se va a tolerar ningún tipo de comportamiento perjudicial o revoltoso. A quien no siga estas reglas, su llamada será desconectada y puede ser infraccionado. De acuerdo con sección 418.016 del Código del Gobierno de Texas y por orden de la Oficina del Gobernador anunciada el 16 de marzo de 2020, la Comisión de Planificación y Zonificación de la Ciudad de Socorro transmitirá su reunión hoy, 10 de septiembre a las 5:30 desde la sala de audiencias, localizada en 860 Rio Vista Road, Socorro, Texas, por medio de teléfono y será transmitida en vivo para tomar medidas preventivas para prevenir la propagación de la enfermedad del virus corona, COVID-19, a los demás, y por la seguridad del público. El público y los presentadores serán anunciados por el oficial conduciendo la reunión para poder hablar durante la sección de comentario público o después de la discusión del artículo de la agenda por cual se apuntaron siguiendo las reglas del gobierno 551.042.
Mr. Terrazas, do I start?
Yes, you can go ahead and call to order.
Okay. This is the Socorro Planning and Zoning Commission, September 10th, 5:34. We call this meeting to order.
Claudia, can
We
you get
can't.
closer to the
The
mic?
audio,
Sorry.
the audio on whoever's speaking, we can't hear, or I can't hear.
Ernest Gomez.
Claudia, can you get closer to the speaker, please? We can't hear you. Closer to the mic, please.
Ernest Gomez.
We can't hear anything.
It might be an attachment on any device attached to the computer.
Can you hear us now?
Yes.
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 Can we have Claudia speak though? We weren't able to hear Claudia.
Yeah, go ahead.
Item number 2, establishment of quorum. Ernest Gomez. David Estrada.
Present.
Arturo Lafuente.
Here.
Andrew Arroyos.
Here.
Enrique Cisneros.
Here, ma'am.
We have quorum with 4 commissioners present. Item number 3, notice to the public, preliminary plat approval. Consider and take action on the preliminary plat approval for Villas de Socorro subdivision, being all of tracks 13B and 18, block 12, and tracks 1, 3A, and 3C, block 27, Socorro grant for a new development.
Good afternoon, Commissioners. This is Job with the City of Socorro Planning and Zoning Department. This is the preliminary plat for Villas de Socorro. I'm gonna put on the screen the property that is getting developed. This property is, it was already presented before. The reason we brought it back is because we got a different set of plans. The developer is adding 34 more lots to this development. Let me show you a copy of the preliminary plat here real quick. This is the plat that was shown before. You remember this property is off of Socorro Road. Originally, it was gonna have 112 lots, and it was gonna have a 16-acre open space. Well, because the city doesn't have any plans for the open space, we spoke to the developer to see if there's another option to do with this area here. I'm gonna show you the new plat. On the screen, what do you see here? This is the new subdivision plat. What changed is this property here. This used to be part of the old subdivision. That was part of lot 1. And now it's gonna be subdivided to create 3 lots right here. The other area that was changed was at the bottom here where the open space. They're adding all of these lots here to connect the roadways. And then they're adding another ponding area so that we can drain the water from the proposed streets into this new pond. The open space is now going to be reduced to 8.45 acres. The engineers are still working on some of the reports. As you can see on the recommendation, some of those reports have already been submitted. Some of them were received right before the meeting. What's still pending are the soils analysis. The engineer confirmed that they're still working on it. The schedule of the development. The traffic impact analysis, that's one of the reports that we requested after speaking to our consultant. We requested that they hold off on the TIA just because of the ongoing COVID situation. We're not gonna get real numbers if they do the TIA today. So that's something that we can obtain at a later date. And then the environmental site assessment, they're still working on it. And we also requested a special problems analysis report. However, the engineer did mention that the problem has been solved for the open space. The reason they didn't, or they couldn't develop this is because there's a problem with the wastewater drainage, but there's nothing wrong with the soil. Other than that, this is the new preliminary plat that they're working on. I don't know if you have any questions. Also, the developers on the line and the engineer. If you also have any questions for them.
Did anybody sign up to, is this going to be open to, for public hearing?
No, sir, this is just the preliminary plat presentation.
What was the issue with the wastewater drainage that you mentioned?
I guess there's a problem with the elevation. There's not enough room to allow them to drain the wastewater. For that reason, they couldn't develop this area, and it's going to remain as open space. However, the open space will remain as private property. It will be maintained by the owner, not the city. Originally, the intention was to dedicate it to the city for any plans or anything that the city might want to do with it. But like I mentioned earlier, the city doesn't have any plans for the open space. So it's still going to be kept as private property for now.
When was this originally platted?
So the original preliminary plat was presented on March 19th. It was approved, and they're almost complete with all the improvements. So they started working immediately after the preliminary plat was approved, but now they're adding 30 more lots. That's the reason why we're bringing it back for reconsideration. Do you have any other questions?
Yeah, do we have the minutes to that meeting, and then I guess it would be in the next following meeting, right?
Yes, we can provide them to you as a planning department report. However, be aware that the reason we're having this special meeting tonight is because this application has a deadline. If you don't take action on it today, according to the Texas Government Code, it should be approved automatically.
Let me see. This was submitted.
And once we have the preliminary plat approval, are they gonna present the other one, the final plat?
So once you approve the preliminary plat,
It's
we're
the
also,
final.
yes, the final plat, we're gonna bring it back on the next meeting. The engineer did request that we put it on the agenda for Tuesday. So we're gonna bring back the final plat.
Are
This
there
was
any
submitted on,
changes on-
go ahead.
Are there any changes from preliminary to final?
I'm sorry, Mr. LaFuente, I didn't catch your question.
Yes. Are there any changes from preliminary plat to a plat?
No, we still, no. Basically, the final plat, they're proposing it exactly the same way that you see it on the screen. The only difference, like I mentioned, they're adding these lots that you see here on the side. This is the only thing that is different.
Okay. Once this plat be approved, who's gonna take care of the requirements that they write here on the bottom? Like a soil analysis?
That will be the responsibility of the planning and zoning department.
Mhm. What about the traffic impact analysis? I think that should be also discussed in the meeting.
Yes, that's one of the reports that I just mentioned earlier, that we asked the engineer to wait and provide it to us at a later date, just because of the ongoing COVID closures. If they run the analysis today, the numbers are not going to be accurate.
And what are those red line corrections?
They're taken care of. They completed everything.
Yeah, because once they red lines, that's something that like as built on the preliminary plat to be the final with those red lines corrections, you know?
No, sir, they've been taken care of. I just got confirmation right before the meeting. Everything was taken care of. So that doesn't apply anymore.
And what about the proposed park design?
There is not going to be a park in
they-
this subdivision.
So that's not requirement.
No, sir.
So one is written here, it should be erased from here, right?
Yes, sir. It's going to be erased.
Is there any special problems on this analysis?
No, sir. The engineer, like I mentioned earlier, the engineer already confirmed that there's no problems with the open space. The problems have been corrected. There's no problems with the soil.
Oh, so actually you guys have the soil analysis, right?
We still haven't received the soil analysis, but we did receive the report where there's no problems with the land. The soils analysis is the one that they're still working on.
Excuse me, commissioners, I just wanted to
How
inform you that
deep is
Mr. Gomez joined in at 5:44.
The footing, the most.
I'm sorry, what was the question?
How
sorry,
deep
commissioners.
on footings is the most?
We still, like I said, we still haven't received the soils analysis. We have not seen the report yet.
Oh, okay.
Excuse me, commissioners, I just wanted to inform you that Mr. Gomez joined the meeting at 5:44 p.m.
Do you have any other?
I do have some questions. This request was submitted on August 13th, correct?
No, sir. The plat was presented to you on, actually, it was approved by council on March 19th.
No, it's not late. No problem.
Oh, let me rephrase my question. The replat was submitted on August 13th.
Oh, yes, yeah. I'm sorry, yes, correct.
Okay. So we have 30, is it 30 or 45 days from that date up to vote on it?
It's
Whatever
30
time
days.
you say.
Okay.
Perfect.
My next question is,
Yes, you got it. And
I don't know if there's a way that we can get the minutes emailed to us in QuickTime or live so that we can take a look at what the notes said. Is there any way we can get that?
We don't have that information at the moment, sir. I don't think we can do that.
Okay. My next question is, this was the plat that and again, because I don't have the minutes, I don't know if I'm referencing based off of memory correctly. Is this the plat that was previously going to have, the goal was to have baseball fields on there?
Yes, that's correct.
Okay. So
However,
no more baseball fields.
No, well, there's the reason for that is because we do have the Mauro Rosas Park, and council didn't want to have two parks that were too close together.
So the council, when it approved it the previous time, approved it without the baseball fields or the parks. They made those concessions or with those caveats?
Well, when council approved it on March 19th, they approved it with the recommendations from staff. The recommendations were the same things that you are looking at on the bottom, the bottom of the report. It's exactly the same thing.
Can you reference that in what you are you talking about the map?
No, sir. If you look at the report that you have on your backup.
Yes, sir.
The first page where, I don't know if you can see this.
Yes, sir. Okay.
Those
there
are
we go.
the recommendations that were approved by council. So for that reason, we didn't change anything. That's why the language is exactly the same as it was presented to council on the other plat. Nothing was changed. That's why we're leaving everything exactly the same way we presented it before. We just want to make you aware that they're adding an additional 30 more lots to this plat. I don't know if you want, let me bring up the previous one so you can remember which one it was. Do you see that one on the screen?
Yes, sir.
This is the one that had the open space, the 16 acres on the side. You remember there was a dead end right here. There's no connection between roadways. So that was the reason why we agreed with a developer to go ahead and develop this area instead of leaving it as open space. Now there is a connection, a complete connection with a roundabout and a cul-de-sac at the end.
Okay.
That was the only thing that changed. So if you look at this one again, on this one, there's no connection here, just a dead end. And this would have been a just wasted space versus a developed area. And now we have connectivity.
Okay. I guess what's surprising is that from what I can remember, again, because I'm not looking at the minutes, the developer had mentioned that the goal one is that they were being very generous because they were going above and beyond the 2.5% or 3% that usually new developments are asked to provide. Bless you. When they're doing a new development, and the goal was to have baseball fields on there, and so we're going from potentially having a really great resource to now there's no park whatsoever, right? Just to understand it.
And I believe that's correct, but I think because a developer's on the line, you can actually ask the question directly to him to see what are his plans for that open space.
Very good. I think I'll save that for the end, but I'll definitely bring that up.
Okay.
My next question is, if I remember correctly, that was either right on the cusp of, on the city limit of Socorro and San Eli. This development is still within the city Socorro limits, right?
Yes, that's correct. The whole thing.
Okay. And then there was also, if I remember, there was also a development that was on the other side, and that went into San Eli, that was either owned by the same owner. Am I remembering that correctly?
That's correct.
Okay.
So, and I didn't put the outline right here, but it's this area that is under construction. They own this land over here. I don't know how far, but yes, it's the same owner. Yes.
Very good. Now you mentioned that this park didn't, or I guess this development didn't have to have a park. Does this development, I mean, even if the new changes get approved, is it still required, or does it still have to meet the park demands or the contribution based on, if I remember correctly, it's 2.5% of what the land value is?
Yes, that's correct. That's the alternative. Because there's no park, they would have to pay 2.5% of the construction cost.
Now, the other question I had is that big lot that they subdivided into 3, was that one of the small commercial lots that was one of the draws to this development as well?
The lot in question is this one right here. It's gonna be replatted, and now the lots are gonna be in this direction. So the front is gonna be on the street. This is gonna be a new street right here. This lot, only this lot right here, the one you see on the corner, will be replatted. Yes, and then let me put so now instead of having this little triangle here, you're gonna have 3 lots facing the new roadway.
Very good. And in the old plot, was that triangle lot, was it gonna be residential or was it gonna be small commercial?
No, it's still residential. The whole thing is residential, but this is the old one, as you can see, it was gonna, this is the way it's platted right now. With this new preliminary plat, because the developer bought this property from the owner, so now he's gonna replat it, and now he's gonna convert it into this.
That's fine. Can you show me where in the new plot will have the small commercial properties that are available or planned for?
I don't think there's any commercial property in here. I
Okay,
don't
so that
have no
different development.
reconnection. Everything is residential.
Okay. So if I remember correctly, that area that was gonna be desert or was gonna be baseball fields, whatever that was, how much was that previously in the whole plot?
The previous plat was showing 16 acres. It's now going to be 8.45 acres.
8.85 acres?
Yes, sir, 8.45 acres. It's almost 8.5 acres.
Okay. Very good. Those are my questions for Mr. Zarazas.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you.
I have a question. Two questions. Can you clarify the points of entry for traffic, or there's one of them, and then the other one?
There's going to be one on Ernest Road, and then there's going to be another one on Fray Holguin. In the future, there's going to be a stub out here for whatever connection. However, we haven't seen the development in San Elizario. We don't know if they're working on it. We don't know the status of what they're doing on San Elizario, but there is a stub out here for a future connection. Those are the only ones.
So can you go to the geo map and show us what's the name of that subdivision, that the Valle Real subdivision? Can you show us what that looks like on geo?
Yes. This is the Valle Real subdivision. Fray Holguin has direct access to Socorro Road. So more than likely this is going to be the most trafficked route. Ernest Road, there's going to be another access here. It has access to Joya del Valle and eventually into Socorro Road also as well.
Is that last one isn't connected yet though, right? That's not a road. That's not an existing road.
Yes, this is already existing. Everything you see here on the screen, as you can see, this is already an existing road.
Okay.
All the way to Ernest. And then from here, they're going to continue the connection into the new subdivision.
Okay.
So what you see here on the screen, this is what we were concerned about. This is what we're asking for, the special problems analysis. But like I said, the engineer already clarified that it's been taken care of. The whole thing was graded. So now you don't see any of this brush or whatever was there before. Everything was leveled and cleaned.
Mr. Terrazas, on that map, can you show us as the bird flies how close Alameda would be from there?
Alameda would be approximately about almost 5,000 feet.
Yeah. So there, yeah. And then can you show us kind of, or give us an idea? I'm sure the majority of the traffic is going to go through Socorro. How close is the Clint, I guess it's Chicken Ranch, access to the freeway from that point?
So assuming that traffic will flow from Fray Holguin all the way to the FM 1110, that's about almost 8,000 feet. And it's the yellow line that you see here at the bottom.
Okay.
So that's the reason why we don't think it's going to create an issue. That's another reason why we decided to allow the engineer to hold off on the TIA at a later date when everything goes back to normal. And that was a recommendation from our consultant, because if they run the numbers now, they're not going to be accurate due to the closures. There's not a lot of businesses in operation, and the numbers that we get today will not be real numbers.
And with the addition of these lots, what would be the total number of rooftops?
Well, there, it should be about 146.
Thanks, sir.
What's the width of the main road tapping into Socorro that's gonna feed into the subdivision?
60 feet is the right of way.
Yeah, that one. It's 60 feet.
Yes, sir.
There any sidewalks there? Is there any curb and gutter?
Not
Existing?
not on the older subdivisions. There's nothing. There's no sidewalks or gutters. But on the new development, there's gonna be sidewalks, curbs, and roadways are gonna be paved. To include stormwater, drainage, and sanitary sewer will be available to the new subdivision.
And the only access is through that existing subdivision.
Yes, sir, that's correct. And the reason is because on the eastern part, there's the drain, there's the middle drain, and then there's the lateral. There's no access to anywhere else. The nearest street would have to cross private property, which it would not be possible for this developer to create a connection here the way this is laid out.
So Mr. Terrazas, everything had already been approved on this subdivision. They moved forward. All they're asking for is, in reality, is just they're gonna add 30 more lots.
Yes, that's correct.
completely. Right. Everything else had already been
Yes, sir.
pretty much approved.
Everything else is the same. Yes, sir. That's correct.
I have another question. What happens with that 8.5, almost 8.5 acres worth of land that the city gets?
No, the city, let me clarify that. The city is not going to receive that property. That open space will remain private property. It's going to be maintained by the owner. So in other words, the developer is going to be responsible for keeping it clean. In the future, if they propose to donate it to the city, that will be a different meeting. But in the meantime, they're going to keep it as private property.
In the previous plot that was approved, was that going to be the case, or was that going to be donated to the city?
That was the intention, to donate it to the city, but that didn't work out. There was a change in plans. The city doesn't have any future for that land. So we met with a developer or the engineer and requested that they keep ownership of the land until a later date, whether there's a change in plan or something else happens. But in the meantime, the city doesn't have any plans or any use for that open space.
And that was city council, city manager, who was in conversations with the developer?
That was a staff. Staff has been in conversation with a developer, and the only thing that will be donated to the city will be, of course, the right-of-ways and the ponding areas. The ponding areas will eventually be turned over to the city for maintenance. And the reason is because the intention is to capture stormwater only. But the open space, there's no plans for that land at all.
Very good. So one, the development isn't being asked to create a park. Two, again, just I guess the difference is two, in the previous plot or the previous conversation was, hey, the city was going to get 16,000. Now, which is okay. I mean, which is, I guess I'm just trying to kind of get it right in my head. One, there's not a park that's going to be developed for this new residential development. And what was planning to be a 16-acre gift went from 16 acres to 0.
That's correct. They would only have to pay the 2.5% park fee.
Okay, so those are my questions for you, Mr. Terrazas. Thank you, sir.
Thank you, sir.
I don't have any questions unless anybody else does.
is there a way that we can invite the developer to share in those questions, or if he's got anything to share?
He's on the line right now. If you want to ask him, he's listening to you. Mr. Escobar?
I'm right here. I'm right here. If I can shed some light on some things here that were said, maybe we can get clarification. And if you have any other questions, I'll be happy to answer. Number one is the city and the Lower Valley Water District redid the sewer line in Frayolín. At the moment when they redid the sewer line, they dropped it an extra 3 feet. By doing that, that permitted us to extend the sewer to those additional 30 lots. Okay? The acreage that we were going to donate to the city, we were not going to develop it. It was acreage that was basically unusable for development at this time because of the elevations. So we offered it to the city, see if in the future they could get a grant and develop some kind of baseball field or park or something else. The city at this point doesn't see a use in just acquiring land to maintain, so they decided not to accept the gift at this time. The 1 acre park that we were supposed to build here is basically redundant because you have a park that's about 200 feet away next door. And you just have to maintain this other park. So they basically, that what they're requesting is that we pay our due amount in park fees. Now, the acreage that is being left there right now, the Lower Valley Water District is looking at it for a transfer station. Or if nothing else happens, when we develop in San Elizario, we might have enough fill to raise that property in order to be able to extend the sewer and make it usable. So either or, if the city comes up with a use, we'll be more than happy to donate it. You have to understand that that property is about 3 feet below every other property that's around there. There used to be a bunch of holes in this property. The environmental that was requested was because we found over 2,000 tires that had been thrown into the property, apart from remodeling material, toilets, every piece of junk that you can imagine had been thrown into that area. So we requested an environmental, which they came and they said that nothing that was there was hazardous. All we had to do was clean up the area, which we have. So we have everything now in piles, and it's going to be disposed of properly by the recycling people that do the tires. So that's been taken care of. Everything has been leveled. All utilities are running perfectly. So in essence, what made us redo the plat is that the Lower Valley installed a new sewer line that was lower. So that gives you a bigger tax base. And it makes the street basically tie in by itself. When we develop the site in San Elizario, this street will go all the way to Thompson. So Ernest Road will turn, go into San Elizario and go all the way to Thompson Road, which will give you another exit. And apart from that, I think that's all the questions that I heard, unless somebody has something else.
So I guess as a point of clarification, the more homes you can build, the better. I mean, that I think everybody's on board with, because we can always use the tax base. I guess it's just kind of surprising that we're going from what I can remember from the conversation was we were really excited about having baseball field, but I mean, that's the situation that it is.
But you have to remember, Commissioner, I was donating the land.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Which was even, again, which is way above and beyond what any new development is asked to do. And again, I hope my questions don't come across as ungrateful or as not understanding. I'm just kind of going through the motions of what I can remember from the last meeting and the differences, and just kind of pointing out the differences from the last meeting to this meeting. So hopefully that comes across.
Yes.
With your development in San Elizario, where are we on that development and the access, that new access road? Or I
That's
guess
probably
that
about 12
artery that
months,
you
12
mentioned.
months away. That's probably
4
about
months
12
away?
months away. 12.
Could you say that one more time?
It's about 12 months away.
12 months away. Okay.
I couldn't
Right,
hear.
if nobody else, so do we have to, do we vote now? Can we go ahead and vote if nobody else has any questions?
I don't think anybody has made a motion.
Okay, I make a motion to approve.
A second.
Sorry, who made the motion?
Andrew?
And who seconded? I'm sorry.
David.
And is that what staff recommendation?
I'm sorry, yes, I make
That's
a motion
correct,
to
yes.
approve a staff recommendation. Yes, sorry.
I have a motion to approve made by.
I have a motion to approve, made by Andrew Arroyos, I'm sorry, to approve, and second by David Estrada with staff recommendations.
With staff recommendations.
With staff recommendations, yes.
Yes.
I'd like to take a vote, please. Ernest Gomez,
Yes.
David Estrada,
Yes.
Arturo Lafuente,
Yes.
Andrew Arroyos,
Yes, ma'am.
Enrique Cisneros,
Yes, ma'am.
motion carried with 5 commissioners. Item number 6. Oh, no, number 4. Item number 4, Planning and Zoning Commissioners Report.
I don't have anything to report.
There's no report.
Item number,
I'm sorry, I'd like to, see if, ask Mr. Badi, if there was a way that we could receive, some kind of training as to how to follow the certain procedures that we need to follow on the meeting, or as far as to, when we have special meetings like this, or just any kind of meeting or whatnot. Is there any kind of training that we can get as to how to follow the correct procedure?
Yeah, what we can do is I'll talk to Job after this meeting. We can either set up either a like a workshop, and it doesn't have to be anything too long. Maybe something like an hour before one of our next meetings, and we can go over a bunch of the procedures or some of the questions you guys have. The other thing that we can do, I'll talk to Joe again about this, is we may have binders. I'm not sure if you got some kind of folders or binders when you guys started on the commission that had some kind of information on it. But if you don't have that, maybe that's something we can work on giving you some information in a written form as well that might help you. So yeah, I'll talk to Job about that, and we'll see what if we can set something up for you guys like that.
Thank you. I don't have anything else.
item number 5, Planning and Zoning Department Report.
The only thing I have to report today is we've been working on, I'm gonna share my screen here real quick. We've been working on some of the attendances. So what you see here on the screen, what you see here on the screen is the amount of times that you guys have been present or absent to the meetings in the last 12 months. We did an analysis of all the meetings starting from August 2019 all the way to August 2020. And this is just information for you to consider, that every time that somebody is absent, it's a substantial amount of impact. As you can see here, even with one time that you're absent out of 22 meetings that we had, it counts as 5%. As you can see, your names are here listed. And then it tells you the percentage of how many times you've been absent. I just want to ask you to just take this into consideration and make sure that you try to attend as many meetings as possible whenever you can. I understand that most of you work and sometimes you can't attend the meetings, but it's necessary to have quorum in order for us to be able to present all these cases and move forward. The reason I'm bringing this up is because we were having a situation with another commission that we couldn't have quorum for a long time. We had a big stack of applications just waiting. And when we finally had the meeting, some of the residents were a little upset, thinking that it's either the City of Socorro not doing their jobs or they were not real happy with us. So we're asking for you to just be aware of whenever the meetings are scheduled. That way, if for some reason we don't remind you or something happens, you know, when you have a copy of the calendar when all the regular meetings are supposed to be scheduled. If there's a special meeting, of course, we're gonna call everybody and make sure that everybody's aware that there's a special meeting going on. But in January, we presented the meetings calendar. And that's why the purpose for that is to make you aware that according to the bylaws, we're supposed to have at least 10 regular meetings per year. I don't know if you have any questions for this, but this is just our...
I have a question. I guess because I can see, I mean, one, we've had an opening for, I think, all this year.
Yes.
And then Mr. Lopez left recently. So I don't know if there's one opening or two openings for the Planning and Zoning Commission.
Yes, so this is, and that's the other reason why I was bringing this up to you, is because we're going to present this to council on the next meeting. And we're going to make them aware that there's still some openings in the commissions. And hopefully they can appoint somebody, or if you know anybody who's interested in serving in the board, have them stop by the city clerk's office and pick up an application. And that way they can, to see if there's a way they can be appointed to some of the openings. The other one that is vacant is the Building and Standards Commission. That used to be a commission that was presented by the same commissioners as the Planning and Zoning Commission. So in other words, you guys were also responsible for the Building and Standards Commission. However, council went away with that. And as you can see, there is absolutely nobody appointed to this board. And I don't know if, because in the past, some of the cases that we were bringing to this commission were so complicated that none of the commissioners wanted to take part on any of those. So they requested to council that they not be responsible for this board. And this, again, this is just information for you. And just to let you know that we are going to present to council this report as you see it on the screen. And hopefully we can have new members appointed to the vacancies that are available pretty soon. And that's all I have to report. Do you have any questions for this or?
Make a motion to adjourn?
Okay, we
Second.
still have another item.
Oh,
See, item number 6.
well, there's not any absent commissioners today.
Oh yeah, because Mr. Gomez showed up later. Okay, I guess. Mr. Body, do we still need to take action or do we skip item number 6?
You've got, oh, the excuse absent commission. No, if we don't have any absent, then we can skip that one.
Okay.
I make a motion to adjourn?
Second.
Who made the second?
Andrew.
Andrew.
Motion to adjourn. Just say it.
I have motion made by Enrique Cisneros
To adjourn.
to adjourn and second by Andrew Arroyos.
And then take the vote.
I'd like to take a vote, please. Ernest Gomez,
Yes.
David Estrada,
Yes.
Arturo Lafuente,
Yes, ma'am.
Andrew Arroyos,
Yes, ma'am.
Enrique Cisneros.
Yes, ma'am. Thank you.
Meeting is adjourned at
Meeting is adjourned at 6:22 p.m.
Thank you.
Bye, guys.